So you want to start collecting sports cards, but where do you actually buy them? Target, Walmart, a local card shop, a card show, eBay? The answer is actually all of them, but where you shop can completely change what you find, what you spend, and even the kind of collecting experience you can have. So today, I'm breaking down 5 of the most common places to buy sports cards and all the pros and cons of each. Welcome back to the Beginner's Guide to Sports Cards from Cards Between Naps. I'm learning the hobby one nap at a time while building collections for my boys, and I'm breaking down everything I've learned so you don't have to figure it all at once. In episode 1, we talked about what sports card collecting actually is, and today we're taking the next step. Where do you actually get the cards? And we're going to start with probably the easiest places for most beginners. First up, Target and Walmart. This is probably where a lot of people first notice modern sports cards. You'll typically find what's known as retail sports card products here. You might see packs, hanging boxes, blaster boxes, mega boxes, and other retail configurations depending on the product. Don't worry about remembering all of what those mean yet. We're going to dedicate an entire episode to them. The biggest advantage here is accessibility. You may already be shopping for anything at one of those stores, so you can walk over to the card section and see what's available. Retail products can also give beginners a relatively accessible way to experience opening packs without immediately jumping into some of the more expensive hobby products. Another advantage, you can easily look at them and look at each product side by side. Baseball, football, basketball, different manufacturers, different price points. That's what's really helpful when you're still trying to figure out what interests you. But there are downsides. Inventory can be unpredictable. One trip might have a full shelf, and the next have very little for what you're looking for. Popular new releases can sell out quickly, but here's something important. The employee working in that department isn't necessarily going to be a sports card expert. You're shopping at a general retailer, not a card shop. So if you're standing there wondering, what's the difference between these two boxes, you might have to do the research yourself. And be careful with impulse buying. Just because something is sitting on a shelf doesn't automatically mean it's the best product for you. This next place might surprise some beginners. Barnes & Noble. Depending on the store, Barnes & Noble can carry trading cards and sealed sports card products. I like including this option because when people think about looking for sports cards, they often immediately think Target or Walmart. And they forget there may be another retailer worth checking. The advantages are similar to other retail stores. You can find sealed products without needing to visit a dedicated hobby shop. And sometimes it's simply another place to check when the big box stores don't have what you're looking for. The downside is that the selection can vary by location. You may find several sports products or very little, so I wouldn't walk into a Barnes & Noble expecting to have every new sports card release. Think of it as another retail option rather than only a source for cards. Now we're getting into a completely different experience, the local card shop, or you'll sometimes see it abbreviated as LCS. Unlike big box retailers, this is a store specifically built around the hobby, and for a beginner, that is incredibly valuable. You might find sealed products, individual cards or singles, graded cards, vintage cards, supplies, and depending on the shop, potential opportunities to buy, sell, or trade your cards. But one of the biggest advantages isn't actually what is sitting on the shelf. It's knowledge. You can ask questions. If you're confused about a product, the people working there might be able to help explain it. If you're looking for a particular player, they may be able to help. If you need supplies for protecting your cards, they can point you in the right direction. And you're also starting to become a part of the local hobby community. But there's something beginners should understand. Don't assume every price is automatically the lowest price just because you're at a card shop. You're paying a business that has inventory, employees, rent, and other costs. So as you become more comfortable in the hobby, it's still smart to understand what products and cards typically sell for. That doesn't mean you shouldn't shop locally. It means to be an informed buyer wherever you shop. And if walking into a card shop feels intimidated because you don't know enough yet, remember, you don't need to walk in knowing everything. That's literally why I'm doing this series. Next, card shows. This is where collecting starts to feel completely different. Instead of one store, imagine walking into a room filled with different dealers and collectors. One table might have modern graded cards, others might have vintage, others could have boxes filled with inexpensive cards. Others might specialize in one sport. That variety is one of the biggest advantages of a card show. You can compare cards and prices across multiple sellers without having to drive to multiple stores. Card shows can also be fantastic for buying singles. And one of my personal favorite things to look through, bargain boxes. You might hear them also called dollar boxes, value boxes, or bargain bins. These can be really fun to get started on collecting without spending a huge amount of money. Card shows also introduce you to something you don't usually experience at Target, negotiating and trading. Depending on the dealer and situation, there may be some flexibility in price, especially if you're buying multiple cards. But beginners need to remember, you still need to know what you're buying. Don't assume a sticker price automatically represents a card's current market value. And don't feel pressured to make a deal simply because you're standing at someone's table. Look around, ask questions, compare, and it's completely okay to walk away. And finally, eBay. This is completely different from every option we've talked about because now you're no longer limited by what's available near you. If you're looking for a particular player, set, parallel, rookie, or graded card, you can search that specifically. That is one of the biggest advantages of eBay, selection. You can also compare multiple listings of the same or similar card, and eventually, eBay becomes useful for something else we're going to cover in this series, researching what cards have actually sold for, but buying online requires a little bit more homework. Before buying a card, look at the seller, check their feedback, read the listing carefully, look at the pictures, especially if you're buying an ungraded or raw card. Check the condition, check the shipping costs, and make sure you're buying the card you think you're buying. Some cards can look extremely similar while actually being different parallels or variations. For higher value cards, you may also see eBay's authenticity guarantee badge on their eligible listings. That means that qualifying cards go through an authentication process before reaching the buyer. But not every card qualifies, so don't assume every purchase on eBay is authenticated. So which one is actually the best? It depends on what you're trying to do. If you want the experience of opening your first packs or box, a retail store can be an easy place to start. If you want someone who can answer questions, try a local card shop. If you want to go through hundreds or thousands of individual cards, try a card show. And if you already know the exact player and card you want, eBay can give you a huge selection of singles. You don't have to choose one place forever. As you collect, you'll probably use a combination of all of them, and that's the real lesson. Don't only ask, where should I buy cards? Ask, what am I trying to buy? That question will usually point you in the right direction. And now it's time for our coffee break recap. 3 things to remember from episode 2. Number 1, you can buy sports cards in a lot more places than just Target and Walmart. Number 2, every buying option has advantages and disadvantages. Retail gives you convenience, card shops give you knowledge, card shows give you variety, and online marketplaces give you access to cards you may never find locally. And number 3, before spending money, know what you're trying to accomplish. Opening packs and buying a specific card are 2 very different experiences. Now there's one term I keep mentioning today that we haven't really explained yet, retail. Because when you start shopping for sports cards, you're eventually going to hear retail and hobby. What's the difference? Why can one box cost significantly more than the other? And does buying a hobby box actually mean you're going to get better cards? That's what we're breaking down in episode 3 of Beginner's Guide to Sports Cards. Subscribe and follow along as we learn the hobby one lesson at a time. I'm learning sports cards one app at a time and sharing what I've learned along the way. I'll see you in episode 3.